Welcome to operating system class. Today we are going to discuss memory hierarchy, or you can say different levels of memories. I am going to discuss which different memories we use in our system and what is the difference among them. The figure here shows the pyramid. This pyramid indicates the size. The main difference is based on the size. So on the top I have written registers, then cache memory, main memory, secondary memory and tertiary memory. There are two main things here based on which we can differentiate these memories. First is size and other is access time. In our system like laptops, we have hard disk, main memory, registers and cache memory. Means we have all levels of memories. The reason for this is we must balance cost as well as access time. So we will start from registers. Registers are very small in size. Here we are talking about general systems like our laptops. I am not talking about servers here. For servers, the requirement is different. Generally, register size is in bytes, means 8 bits, 16 bits or 32 bits. There are different types of registers like general purpose registers, address registers, etc. It is directly associated with CPU. After registers, there is a cache memory. It is also known as static RAM and main memory is called as dynamic RAM. The size of main memory is in GB. After main memory, there is a secondary memory. The example for secondary memory is USBs, that is pen drives, SSDs, that is solid state devices, flash memory, magnetic disk and hard disk. USBs and flash memories are faster than magnetic disk and hard disk. USBs and SSDs flash memories are in GBs, while hard disk and magnetic disk are in terabytes. The last level is a tertiary memory. Example is magnetic tapes or tape drives. The size of tertiary memory is in petabytes or hexabytes. The first two layers also known as internal memory because it is directly connected to the CPU. Which are the first two layers? Registers and cache. Okay. Then primary memory is what also known as RAM, which is volatile memory, which provides us multiprogramming or multiprocessing environment. We are going to see later on what is multiprogramming environment. Okay. So when the power is switched off, then the data is erased. That's why it is known as volatile memory. After RAM, there is a secondary memory. In this, USB flash is more expensive than the hard disk. The last is tertiary memory. It is used to store large amount of data offline. So generally used for backups, which is not connected to CPU directly. The cost is lowest compared to registers due to access time. The time required to access the data from register is very less, means it is very fast. After that, cache memory, then primary memory followed by secondary memory. So tertiary memory is the slowest and registers are fastest. So as you go down from registers to tertiary memory, the size and access time increases but the cost decreases. The average access time for tertiary memory is around 100 milliseconds, hard disk 10 milliseconds, USB requires microseconds, main memory requires 100 nanoseconds, cache memory requires around 10 nanoseconds, and registers requires 1 nanosecond or some fractions of nanoseconds. Then the accessing frequency, what is the meaning of accessing frequency? Means which memory is used more frequently or more time. Okay, so registers are used more frequently as it is connected to CPU. Okay, then cache memory, after registers, cache memory is used frequently, then main memory, then secondary memory and then tertiary memory. Okay, so this is all about memory hierarchy. Now we'll see basics of memory management. So you know that the main parts of computers are CPU and memory. Okay, and just now we have learned memory hierarchy. We cannot use a memory which has more storage capacity and less access time. We have discussed that As the size increases, cost decreases, but access time increases. Hence, as per the requirements, we can use different memories for different functions. We use all the types of memories in the system to get good performance. The figure here shows CPU, cache, main memory and secondary memory. The size of the secondary memory is very large, but the speed is very less compared to the processor. If we just use processor and secondary memory, then most of the time processor will remain idle, right? Waiting for the secondary memory. Hence, we use RAM or a primary memory which is smaller in size and faster compared to the secondary memory. The processes which are to be executed by the CPU are brought into the RAM, and since the size of the RAM is small, the time required to access is also small. Here, you can imagine secondary memory as a warehouse and main memory as a shop. So whatever is required, that we can bring it from warehouse to shop. Okay. So cache is a memory which is available on the CPU. So whatever is frequently required is kept in the cache from RAM and it is brought into the cache. Okay. In operating system, we are not going to discuss about cache memory. We will just talk about CPU, main memory and secondary memory. If you learn computer organization, then you will learn everything about regarding cache memory. So in short, what I am telling you that whatever is there in the secondary memory, okay, as and when required, okay, we will bring the processes from secondary memory to RAM. Okay, why? Because RAM is very fast and the time required to access RAM will be less by the CPU compared to the secondary memory. Okay, and what is the function of cache? I told you, in the cache memory we are going to keep whatever is more frequently required by the CPU from RAM. Okay, from RAM again we are going to keep a copy on a cache memory and CPU can access cache. Okay, if nothing is found in cache, then it will access RAM. If nothing is found in RAM, then it will access secondary memory. Okay, it's like that. So whenever CPU wants a particular process, okay, right now as I mentioned that we are not going to talk about cache, we are just going to talk about CPU, RAM and secondary memory. Okay, so whenever CPU wants a particular process, first it will search in RAM. If the match is found, then it is called a hit. Okay, and if the match is not found, then it is called a miss. So the hit ratio is the ratio of number of hits to the total number of times the memory is accessed. Suppose 8 times the main memory is accessed by the processor and out of 8 only 6 times the match is found. Then 6 by 8 is the hit ratio and 2 by 8 is a miss ratio. The concept of locality of reference is used to bring the processes into RAM from secondary memory to increase the hit ratio. So generally the program is executed sequentially. Okay. So if the 100th instruction is currently under execution, then it is assumed that the next few instructions will be executed. So those particular instructions are brought into main memory from the secondary memory. This is called as a locality of reference. The data which is used by CPU currently is brought into the main memory. Okay, now we'll see one example here and after solving that example, your idea of whatever we discussed in previous slide will be very clear, that how we are going to speed up the entire operation. Okay, what we said is secondary memory is large in size and it is very slow compared to main memory. So if the access time on secondary memory is 100 milliseconds, okay, it is given. The main memory access time is given as 10 milliseconds, okay, and the hit ratio is given as 90%. So what is the meaning of hit ratio? Just now I said it's a 9 out of 100. If the CPU is accessing the RAM 100 times, okay, out of 100, 90 times the CPU is getting a hit. He founds a match, okay, and 10 times he is not getting the match here, okay. So whenever the match is not found, CPU has to go to the secondary memory, okay, to search for that particular process, okay. So what is the average access time then? 0.9, that is 90% times it will CPU will found a match in RAM, okay. So uh, what is RAM? RAM is a main memory, right? So what is the access time is given for RAM? 10 milliseconds. So 0.9 into 10, okay. Now why we have taken this 10 times, okay. 10 times out of 100, a CPU is not finding a match in main memory. So but initially for those 10 processes, CPU will go through the RAM, and then CPU will come to know that there is no match found, okay. So that time is wasted, okay. So this 10 milliseconds is from main memory, and after that CPU will come to know there is no match found, so CPU has to go to the secondary memory. So for secondary memory, what is the access time? 100, okay. So zero point 0.1 into 10 plus 100, so this will give you 9 plus 11, that is equal to 20 milliseconds, okay. So your idea must now your idea must be clear, okay, how it is working actually. So there are two important duties of operating systems, okay. First is how to bring data from secondary memory to main memory. That is the first duty of operating system. Second duty is how to convert this logical address to the physical address. Okay, what is the meaning of this? CPU will create a logical address of a process which is there in the secondary memory, but actually the process is lying where it is in the main memory, right? So the physical address of the main memory. So there should be some mapping of this logical address of the particular process, okay, which is actually that address is generated for the secondary memory, but our process is lying where it is in the RAM, and it has a physical address. So CPU has to translate this logical address to physical address. That is a second important duty of operating system. So these are the two things which are very important, okay, that we are going to see in detail later on. Now the important point here is how to allocate a space, okay, in main memory, okay, how to allocate a space to a process in a main memory. That is important thing. So there are two ways of allocating the memory, contiguous and non-contiguous, okay. You have to remember this, contiguous and non-contiguous memory allocation. So there are advantages and disadvantages of this. We will discuss this in detail. Now we'll see what is contiguous memory. So contiguous memory is a memory in which we are allocating it in a sequence, okay, continuously. The advantage of this is address translation is very easy in this. We need to know, or we need to remember only the base address, and if you add the base address, you can easily compute the respective addresses, okay. The example is just like an array, you know, array, okay, it is in sequence, right? Array is in sequential manner. So access time is very fast and it is allocated in sequence. Now we'll see one example. There is a process P1 which requires 5 KBs, okay, and you can see this is the main memory having the space 10 KB, okay. So free available space is how much now here? This, suppose this is not available, okay, so 2 KB is already occupied by some other process, and 4 KB here it is available, and 4 KB here it is available. It is not available in it is not available together, right? There are two parts of main memory, okay. So what is the requirement? We want 5 KB, okay, but free available space is 8 KB. Still we cannot allocate this space to P1 as it is not available continuously, okay. So even if the 8 KB space is available, we are not able to allocate it to P1, okay. This space is not utilized, so this is called as external fragmentation. It's very important concept, okay. You have to remember this. So now we'll see what is non-contiguous memory. From the name itself, it is very clear. In contiguous, we are allocating the space in continuous fashion. Here we are not able to allocate it that way. Okay, so the example is linked list. Uh, in linked list, can we access the nth node directly? So the answer is no. It should be accessed in a linear fashion, okay, and because of that it is very slow. So here you can see uh, this is the first node, suppose, and in the first node we have data and the address of the next node, okay. So each node has the address for the second node, and second will have the address for the third will have the address for the fourth, and so on, okay. The advantage is it do not suffer due to external fragmentation, okay. So this is your main memory having 10 KB, and for the previous case, if P requires 5 KB, okay, and if this is the situation, okay, here again 2 KB is utilized. So what we can do is, out of 5 KB we can use this 4 KB, and the remaining 1 KB we can allocate here, okay. So the external fragmentation is not there in non-contiguous memory.